Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comments? There being none. Legislative and legal matters, Amy?
Good morning, Amy Mordock, Planning Director. I have a few project updates and some legislative updates. The two project updates are, one, the project that you heard last month, Woods Heritage, where we put that on hold pending an update to the landscape buffer, is still being drafted by the applicant, so we haven't had a submittal, and when we get that, we'll put it back on your agenda. Also, a couple of years ago, we talked about streamlining some of the minor site plan reviews and minor actions. The planning chair has the authority under our code and under the land use article to defer administrative actions to the department. And so we've been doing that with some minor site plans along Route 50 that have been de minimis in nature over the years, just to streamline. So, and I mentioned that when we do so, I'd report out to you when that happens. So recently, Chairwoman Dobson deferred an amendment to a private road on Blunt Marsh Road that was a part of a subdivision many years ago. And there was a provision in the private road agreement that stipulated any change must be brought back to the Planning Commission for approval. The change that was proposed was just a reconfiguration to deal with some flooding of the road, and it was not a change that would have resulted in new lots taking access. So that review was deferred to staff, and that was approved and finalized. So. On to legislative updates. We're in the heart of the legislative season, and there are a few key bills I wanted to bring to your attention. As usual, we are engaged with MACO to oppose what is called the Renewable Energy Certainty Act. It is Senate Bill 931, House Bill 1036 is the cross file. This is a bill that preempts local zoning for the siting of not only solar facilities, but also battery storage facilities. That has been added to this bill. This is the bill that was intended to have been collaborative. I spent the summer on a work group working on a collaborative bill, and the solar partners walked from that effort in the 11th hour and have now put forward this bill. So we are taking a position of opposition and proposing amendments. I'm working with a colleague who is the planning director in Frederick County. His name is Mike Wilkins. We've been working with MACO on this issue for quite a while. And we will be testifying at the Senate hearing before the Education, Energy, and Environmental Committee next Friday at 1:30. So to let you know, we're continuing to represent not only our community, but all counties who are in the
Why did the solar walk away? What did you do?
To be frank, we did come up with a really good compromises to streamline the reviews. The allegation by the industry is that local governments are intentionally obstructionist when it comes to approving and streamlining solar projects in conflict with the state's renewable energy goals. The reality is there are procedures in place that are generally, in my opinion, not time-consuming as long as the applicant submits adequate documents in a timely manner. But clearly there's a disagreement about that. But what we agreed was that in order to retain some siting standards at a local level, we negotiated to alter any utility scale solar project from a conditional use or a special exception to a straight site plan review, so that we would eliminate an extra step of the review process by not having to go to the Board of Appeals, but to maintain some setbacks and landscaping and soil removal, some of the really key components that sit in our conditional use standards, and those are all priorities in every jurisdiction. So we negotiated that if we have these minimum site plan standards, we would agree to process these applications as site plans as opposed to special exceptions or conditional uses. That seemed to be acceptable. And what happened was, as a result of the presidential election, the industry feared that those incentives that surround renewable energy goals might be eliminated. So there was a reluctancy to continue to collaborate. And that's what happened.
So let's not do anything at all, is what they said.
Right.
Okay.
Well, but what ended up happening was a much bigger land use grab in this bill. So most counties, of course, are opposing. We're working through the planning affiliate through MACO to gather everyone's comments so that we can represent everyone. But really, Queen Anne's County's requirements really led the charge for this work group, because we do have reasonable expectations that the industry did concede were pretty reasonable. And our utility scale solar district, encompassing 2 miles on either side of the main transmission line, was also generous. So there was an acknowledgement there. So we'll continue to fight for that.
Can I get those bill numbers again, please?
Yes. Senate Bill 931, cross-file with House Bill 1036.
And just for point of clarification, when you said we will be submitting testimony in opposition, is we Queen Anne's County or is we MACO?
Both.
Okay.
And also MML, our counterparts for all of the incorporated towns, are also following suit.
On that same panel? Or
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Hoping to forestall rumors, do you know if anywhere in this, and this is a detail, is buried some provision to override easements for siting of this stuff?
I have not. That is not included in this draft.
Okay.
But I've definitely heard that is a possibility.
Just interested if it's in the draft.
No, it is not.
Okay, thank you.
Another quick question. So does the bill in either the Senate or House or both have strong support either in numbers or from leadership?
There's strong support
For the
through
bill as it is, as it was submitted?
Yes, there's strong support through through our not our delegation, but there's strong support at the state level to move forward with the renewable energy portfolio goals.
Thank you.
Otherwise, you may also recall that I had sat on the accessory dwelling unit task force that was looking at incentivizing and making sure that accessory dwelling units were an affordable option in all communities. Not every county and municipality allows accessory dwelling units as a by right use. So we looked at that and produced a final report. And there is a bill that has been introduced. It is Senate Bill 891, House Bill cross-file 1466. Hearing on that is on the 25th of February at 1 o'clock. This bill has taken all of the recommendations from the report, some of which recommended legislative action, Some did not. Some recommended further study and guidance to be shared with the counties and the municipalities. The bill takes all of those recommendations and makes them regulatory changes. So I have worked with my counterpart who sat on that committee from Prince George's County. Her name is Lori Paris. We've put forward all of the comments that illustrate the inconsistencies between that report and this bill, and are working with MACO to oppose this bill. Additionally, the county commissioners have worked with our delegates to put forward a recreational cannabis bill. It is House Bill 1235. It does not have a cross file right now, but it will. And there's a hearing on that bill on the 25th as well in front of the Economic Matters Committee. This is a bill that is intended to impose setbacks for cannabis dispensaries and processing locations. As you know, our current ordinance is not consistent with last year's legislation regarding cannabis. We currently have more restrictive setbacks. This bill is being put forward to support those setbacks. It's specific to Queen Anne's County, and not sure if other counties might recommend amendments to be included to permit local jurisdictions to establish greater setbacks. Connected to that bill, I'm going to now move on to our local legislation. So connected to that bill is the county commissioner's introduction of Ordinance 2501, which is an update to our cannabis regulations to, number one, to come in line with the minimum state standard, because this legislation that is being recommended, put forward, obviously has not been enacted. So in the meantime, we do have a couple of applications, and our code is not consistent with the minimum standards. So this ordinance 2501 will bring the county's code in line, but it also establishes a requirement to address odor control measures. That bill was introduced by the county commissioners at their meeting on the 28th of January. It is being forwarded to the Economic Development Commission for comment, which is our process, and then as soon as we receive those comments, it'll be on your first available agenda. And also to update you, this is our citizen-sponsored text amendment window. The first 10 days of February, we open up to citizen-sponsored amendments. That window closes tomorrow on Valentine's Day. And so far, we've had 3 applications.
When will they be on our agenda?
Usually, when we receive the applications, they have to be taken to the county commissioners, who then convey them to us, and they go again to the Economic Development Commission, and then they are placed on your agenda, so probably within 2 months.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
What about miscellaneous staff items? Do you have anything?
I don't.
Oh. Okay, we don't have any openings, correct, at the current time, or do we?
We do. Our senior planner position remains open.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next on the agenda is public hearings, concept plan for Bridgetown development.
So I think we have, and I'm being a stickler here, but 1 minute until we can start this. It's 8:59.
Okay, doke. We're in recess at the moment.
Yes.
Jeff really looked strange in that when he first came.
Let you guys get settled in before I start. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Johnson, Senior Planner for Planning and Zoning. We're here to discuss project number SP 24-05-0126 for Bridgetown Development Company LLC, who is proposing a 19.54 acre expansion of an existing major extraction operation and is requesting concept plan approval and favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals. Project's located in the eastern portion of the county, just southwest of Ingleside. More specifically, the site is comprised of 2 parcels that total 305.271 acres and is located at 1720 Bridgetown Road. An annual compliance inspection was performed in November on the operation. It was found to be in compliance with no violations and all conditions of approval being met. Project site is zoned agricultural. Major extraction is a conditional use in the ag zoning district. Here's a look at their concept plan. Access is taken via their existing entrance off of Bridgetown Road, showed there circled in yellow. The total LOD for the project is 275.48 acres. This includes the area of previous approvals and the 19.54 acre expansion area, which is that dashed red line you see on your screen. The applicant is proposing 6.40 acres of impervious area and 2,262 square feet of floor area, which is far less than the maximum permitted. This operation will continue to comply with all the required mining setbacks. Existing haul and access roads will be utilized throughout the site. There is no new water and sewer proposed, and Environmental Health has approved the expansion. The applicant anticipates 13,265,090 cubic yards of material will be removed by the operation in 47.88 years, which equates to an annual removal rate of 277,056 cubic yards. And as of this time, the approximate finished depth will be 50 to 55 feet. A 30-foot wide, 7-foot tall berm will be provided along the perimeter of the expansion area. That's the dashed green line that you see on your screen. This will be planted with 4-foot to 8-foot loblolly pine or white pine and eastern red cedar, just as all the previously approved berms have been as well, which are these solid green lines you see on your screen. There is a stream and stream buffer on site, shown here in solid and dashed blue. 20% disturbance is permitted to the stream and the stream buffer under 18163B. The applicant is proposing to disturb 19.9% or 1.866 acres of buffer for the construction of those berms I just spoke about. The site does fall within the drainage to Long Marsh and Mason Branch, which supports sensitive species, the iron color shiner, dwarf wedge mussel, and creeper. According to DNR, the project must adhere to all appropriate best management practices for sediment and erosion control and avoid altering hydrology. A copy of that correspondence was included in your packets. There's a non-tidal wetland and its associated buffer on site. It's the small green area you see at the center of your screen. The applicant is proposing to completely disturb that wetland and its associated buffer, and has been authorized to do such by MDE. A copy of that authorization was also included in your packets. There are 4.41 acres of woodlands on site. The applicant is proposing to clear 2.34 acres. That's the hatched white and brown area at the center of your screen. Mining operations are exempt from forest conservation under 1824B10. Within the area that they're going to clear, there's also a bald eagle's nest. The applicant has been granted authorization by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to disturb that nest. Disturbance is defined as to agitate or bother a bald or golden eagle to agree that causes or is likely to cause, based on the best scientific information available, 1, injury to an eagle, 2, a decrease in its productivity by substantially interfering with normal breeding, feeding, or sheltering behavior, or 3, nest abandonment by substantially interfering with normal breeding, feeding, or sheltering behavior. This does not authorize the intentional take of the eagle or the eagle's nest, and any changes to this proposed project would require or may require a new authorization. Here's the hours of operation. I'm not going to read through these. These were delineated in the staff report, and this is pulled directly from the plan. The applicant's proposing no changes to the current operating hours. A sound study was provided that concluded that the expansion will not exceed residential daytime or nighttime noise limits at the property line. A copy of that was included in your packets. Trucks will continue to utilize the existing haul route shown here in dashed yellow. This is Bridgetown Road to Carter Road to Route 19. Both the Department of Public Works and State Highway Administration have offered no objection to the approval. And finally, when the operation is complete, 4 ponds will remain with locations for 2 future residents. And with that, I will try to take any questions or turn it over to the applicant.
I have one question regarding the hole that's left. Does the code speak to what may or may not be done with that hole? Can it be used for hazardous waste, for instance?
It
or-
cannot. It
Okay.
cannot. They're actually had to develop legal documents addressing any pollution that may occur because of the operation that they
Oh,
would need to
that's
clean it up.
specifically addressed?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. It
okay.
can be used for recreational uses, parks, things of that sort.
Can they fill it in if they wish to?
Yeah, they can reclaim it, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Jeffrey, are you with us?
I most certainly am.
Do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. You're on.
Chairwoman Dobson, good morning. Charles Shaler with Baker Donaldson. Here with me is Kyle Hoffman on behalf of Bridgetown Development. Jim Gothrop is sitting behind. We also have Lane Engineering, Mr. Callahan, and Jared. People are familiar with him. We are here on Phase 4, as we call it. And this is simply a continuation. As Steve correctly pointed out, there are no changes proposed here. As you recall, when we were here for Phase 3, we carved out this 19 acres because at the time MDE hadn't issued the wetland permit and we hadn't gotten through the Fish and Wildlife Service issues. And so we've overcome those obstacles or impediments, and now we are here. And we can walk through each one of the criteria, but the applicant satisfies those criteria. If you look at the end use plan, sheet L104, as Steve pointed out in his staff report, it is all laid out. So really, there is no change here, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Hoffman at this point on behalf of the applicant.
Okay.
Sure. Nice to meet you all. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Do we have any questions? I have to say, this has been a nice project for removing materials from the ground. It's been a very nice, it's been kept well.
We try to maintain community relations. We work with DPW, as you know, and I don't believe there have been any serious complaints during the lifetime of this project.
So can I get a resolution? If we have no further comments or questions from the commissioners? Oh, public comment. I don't think we have any, correct? Nothing on. Okay, so no public comment. Can I get a resolution?
Madam Chair, be it resolved that the Planning Commission regarding the request by Bridgetown Development Company LLC for concept plan approval for a 19.54 acre expansion of an existing major extraction operation in the agricultural zoning district, which is more particularly described in Planning and Zoning File SP 24-05-0126, hereby finds the concept plan is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Queen Anne's County 2022 Comprehensive Plan, and the concept plan is consistent with the Queen Anne's County zoning and subdivision regulation, and hereby grants concept plan approval subject to the following conditions. 1, proper controls and methods are maintained to minimize truck mud tracking or dust plumes in dry times with wind drift suppression. 2, the facilities continue to be adequately designed and maintained to free dirt and debris from the wheels and undercarriage of trucks prior to entering Bridgetown Road. All soil conservation district approvals are maintained. The hours of operation will be consistent with the approval of conditional use, case number CU-180500016. Any changes require additional approvals. All landscaping required shall be maintained to assure plantings remain alive and healthy during the operation period. The applicant provides a cash deposit, surety bond, or letter of credit for all landscaping. Haul trucks shall adhere to the approved haul route as discussed and presented. Material storage piles cannot exceed 45 feet in height. The applicant submits as-built updates to the Board of Appeals and Department of Planning and Zoning yearly on the anniversary of Board of Appeals approval or on a schedule determined by the Board of Appeals. The applicant agrees to an annual inspection. All state permits are in place prior to final permitting by Queen Anne's County. All legal documents are reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission attorney. Any future mining phases or changes to the end-use plan must return to the Planning Commission for a recommendation to the Board of Appeals for amendment to the conditional use. Any and all financial sureties for reclamation, landscaping, stormwater management, and enforcement, etc., are in place before final permits are granted. There shall be no truck parking on Bridgetown Road, no stacking or parking outside of the gate, no jake brakes, and no tailgate slamming either on-site or on the public road. The applicant shall post a sign with a notice regarding these restrictions. Any requirements by the Queen Anne's County Roads Department must be satisfactorily addressed. To protect aquatic habitat supporting rare, threatened, and endangered species, the applicant must adhere to the protective measures provided by the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. To disturb bald eagles associated with one existing nest, the applicant must comply with the requirements of U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service permit number PER 2758057. Any outstanding documentation or comments stemming from agency reviews are addressed prior to Board of Appeals submittal. Do we vote on this first and then go on to the recommendation?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All in favor? You don't have a second yet. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ready to get out of here.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We have such a long schedule today. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it.
Okay, and then, Madam Chair, resolved that the Planning Commission regarding the request by Bridgetown Development Company LLC for a 19.54 acre expansion of an existing major extraction operation in the agricultural zoning district, which is more particularly described in Planning and Zoning File SP 24-05-0126, hereby forwards a favorable recommendation to the Board of Appeals under sections 18-1-14C7 and 18-1-95E.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So be it. Any public comments on any other projects? Or any subject? Well, then I'm looking for a resolution.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. I didn't have a
Thank you,
second on
Chairwoman.
that either.